It seems that the announcement of rate increases that we heard recently are another step in a process that's been going on almost 10 years. Ever since 9/11, we've been hearing one reason after another of why insurance companies need to raise their rates. Do you feel that these reasons we're being given and these rate increases are legitimate?
Yes, well, first of all, since 9/11, I mean, there was a period of time in perhaps 2003, 2004, where rate increases were very nominal. There weren't a lot of rate increases. And I think because of the fact that the government had imposed a large deductible on claims. We went up to a $30,000 deductible for pain and suffering. And this resulted in a lot less money being paid out by the industry to victims. And so that there wasn't the pressure on to seek premium increases. It's interesting that this most recent round of applications for increases that have gone on in the last 6 to 12 months predate a period of time where the government indicated it was going to change certain things in the Insurance Act and regulations. And this has sort of been a pattern that's repeated itself since 1990, where there's a buildup of concern coming from the industry that premiums are out of control, that they're not making enough money, that or rather costs are out of control, and therefore we've got to cut the benefits. We've got to cut the product, as they refer to it. And that's what really Dwight Duncan and the Liberals are now proposing. They're proposing a cap on medical rehab expenses and other methods to take away benefits.
You work with accident victims on a daily basis. How are the changes that have occurred with insurance regulation and the changes that will occur with this recent rate approval and the kind of talk of reduced benefits, how are they affecting the actual people?
Well, of course, these proposals that are coming in, they're being suggested right now by the government. They're proposing to bring those into effect next year. So there's going to be a lag time before they're actually in effect. But the biggest problems with the existing scheme, and there's no proposal really to change it substantially, is that the government is going to maintain a $30,000 deductible, which was brought in by the Conservatives right before the 2003 election, where Mr. McGuinty and the Liberals got elected. There was a promise by the McGuinty government that they would reduce that deductible to $15,000, and they haven't done it. And now they've confirmed that they're going to keep it going forward. There's also what we call a threshold, verbal threshold, where you have to have a permanent serious injury in order to get any compensation. And that is one of the biggest problems for people that are in accidents through no fault of their own. They can be a pedestrian walking down the street and they're run into by a careless driver or a drunk driver, and if they don't, they can suffer for pain and suffering for a lengthy period of time and have a lot of serious injuries. But if they're not permanent and they're not deemed to be serious within the definition in this legislation, they get no compensation. That's the most difficult thing we have in terms of dealing with our clients and people that seek our advice in trying to get compensation arising out of accidents.
And you're seeing rising incidents of that?
Well, I don't necessarily rising incidents. I mean, I think there's the statistics show that probably the number of accidents hasn't drastically gone up. People are shocked when they come to see us, and we tell them that even though they've been hurt through no fault of their own, they're going to get nothing, or that their claim is below $30,000 in value, or that if it's over $30,000, even if it was up to $50,000, that it economically doesn't make sense to get involved in a lawsuit, and so people give up, and they get nothing, having paid premiums for coverage, or being in a situation where they're a pedestrian and they're injured through no fault of their own.
What do you think should happen at this point? Do you think it would be a useful thing for consumers to raise their voice, to try to make a political issue of this?
Well, I think it would be. I mean, the problem that the public don't know, I think, the public don't know that auto insurance in Ontario doesn't provide them with protection. They buy insurance, they pay these premiums, the premiums keep going up, and they think they're being protected. But they don't know that there is really very little protection in the insurance product when you're faced with a $30,000 deductible, and you're faced with the fact that if you have a so-called minor injury, something that's not serious and permanent, you'll get no compensation. So what is happening is the insurance product that has been created by the Ontario government is not protecting families. It's not protecting people that are hurt through no fault of their own.
Thank you very much, Tom Connolly.
Good. Thanks, Ish.